Maintaining one's mental health during the ongoing pandemic is as crucial as containing the virus. Coronavirus pandemic has taken a heavy toll on all of us, including children. The kids cannot go outside, meet their friends, or engage in activities which earlier kept them busy. All this accounts for feelings of increased irritability, restlessness, and isolation. Faced with these sudden social barriers, young children are at risk of developing mental health problems. Closure of schools, zero playtime, and this unprecedented crisis has caused big disruptions in their otherwise playful life. What started as an extended summer vacation for many children has now turned into a stressful phase of extreme boredom. Social isolation is a significant risk factor for stress, depression, anxiety, fear, worry, and other negative thoughts. A new report has suggested that more than 3 million kids are at risk of developing mental health problems resulting from the current situation. Since young children are more emotionally vulnerable, it makes it equally important for parents to spot signs of trouble in the beginning. No one wants to see their child unhappy. On a positive note, you can help your child by recognizing the signs of stress and anxiety and teaching them healthy ways to deal with it. So, how can you do it? We'll be discussing this on the show today. Hello everyone, you're listening to the Socially Desi Show, the podcast that motivates you to live, create, and inspire. If this is your first time here, welcome. On our show, we discuss tips and strategies with our guest speakers on how to tackle problems related to personal growth, mental health, relationships, entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. So hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. Today, I'm joined by Bhoomeeka Jain. She is a counseling psychologist, therapist, graphologist, and an NLP practitioner. She holds a master's degree in counseling psychology from SNDT University, Mumbai, and she is associated with one of the reputed schools in India as the head counselor and L&D. Hello Bhumika, welcome to the show.
Hi everyone. Hi Anurag. Thank you for such a beautiful introduction. I just wanted to thank you for such an amazing introduction, and I'm very happy to share this platform with you.
It's a great pleasure to be hosting you on the show today, Bhumika. And I believe the episode that we are doing is at the right moment because of all this chaos happening around schools not opening up, the exams of CBSEs being postponed again and again. So I believe our episode today would actually help a lot of parents and students to understand the dynamics which are going on and how they can deal with their stress and anxiety.
Yes, definitely, because such uncertainty is there within the children and the parents. So there are a lot of situations where, parents don't know what to say, children don't understand what they're trying to say. So I think this is an amazing show where we can educate the parents and the children as well, how they can go about it in such pandemic situation.
I mean, that is what we aspire to provide our audience with all the information and knowledge, that you possess. So, Bhumika, to everyone out there who doesn't know more about you, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah. So I would like to say that my journey has been quite delightful and interesting
Mm-hmm.
and definitely fun till now. And I believe that the way we take care of our
Mm-hmm.
physical health means the health that can be seen and observed very well. We should also take care of our mental health in the similar way,
True.
right? This is one of the belief system that I truly truly agree with.
Yeah.
And secondly, I would like to share a very interesting fact with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, where I am currently, I would like to tell you that once I was studying psychology,
Mm-hmm.
right, and people were asking me what is that you do, so a lot of us doesn't have an awareness or understanding of what mental health is.
Right.
So I told them I'm pursuing psychology, and their reaction would be, or their statements that I have mostly heard were, would you like to make any guess?
Oh, they must be saying like, oh, you deal with mental people.
Correct. Yeah, you have just said it in a very, beautiful manner. But yeah, the simple statement would be, अच्छा आप पागल के डॉक्टर हो क्या पागलों को
Hmm.
ट्रीट करते हो. So this
Yeah.
was the most funny and at the same time very hurtful statement that I've heard. And secondly, the other statement was, oh, then tell me what's going in my mind. I want to know everything. Can you just judge me and can you read my mind? So these are the two frequent statements that I've heard very often, right?
Right.
So I just want to tell everyone out here that psychologists are someone who cannot read minds.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame anyone for that because when I was young, even I used to think, अच्छा आप सबको ही मेरा दिमाग पढ़ सकते हैं.
Hmm.
So I'm not blaming anyone, but I think it's just that there is lack of awareness, so people don't know what exactly psychologists do.
Hmm.
And in terms of my career, I would like to say that currently I deal with students, I
Hmm.
deal with children, I deal with pre-primary children, all the age groups, teenage and young adults also.
Okay.
But my expertise would be teenage counseling or adolescent counseling for that matter. And I deal with people who are going through depression, anxiety, anger management, self-esteem issues, right? How children, they start doubting themselves
Right.
and they just bash out a lot of times.
Hmm.
That's one of the thing. And confidence building, and also the relationship, which doesn't have any age. That relation should be, I should be into a relationship at any particular age. So I think it's at a very young age people get into relationships, so that's also one of my key area.
Okay, so you rightly said that people don't understand what a counseling psychologist is. So, what exactly is the difference
Hmm.
between a counseling psychologist or someone like a psychiatrist?
So, a psychiatrist is someone who can prescribe medications
Mm-hmm.
if for any mental illness, and psychologists are the one who cannot prescribe any medication, but they have the right and they have the authority to provide therapies.
Okay.
So that's a very basic difference between a psychologist and psychiatrist.
Okay, okay, all right. So, I mean, somebody can go to a counseling psychologist and, they can do a therapy session. But at the end of the day, if there's a medicine involved or some sort of a medication which needs to go in that therapy, so that you cannot subscribe that, right?
Yes, then we refer that client or the person to the psychiatrist.
Okay, okay, all right, all right. So I hope people here got some idea about what is the basic difference, and also I would like to ask, like for example, a counseling psychologist, what is like the minimum professional criteria for someone to be a counseling psychologist?
So that person needs to have a master's degree. It's
Okay.
just doing bachelor's, a pass course, or a BSc.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot, perform any therapy, or they cannot deal with clients on one-on-one basis.
Okay.
They can obviously help the other senior psychologists. They can intern,
Mm-hmm.
but they need to have a master's degree.
All right, all right. And remember, guys, we are talking about stress and anxiety, especially in children these days, and how parents can actually help their children to get out of this situation together. So, Bhumika, why don't you tell us the basic difference between a stress and anxiety? Because I guess a lot of people they correlate these terms, and sometimes even though they are not anxious or maybe they are not stressed out, but they interchange the whole meaning. So let's give our audience a clarity in these two terms.
All right. So, stress and anxiety, I think these are the two terms that we have heard a lot during the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
especially during the pandemic. So, stress is something that is typically caused by an external trigger,
Mm-hmm.
and that trigger can be short term, right?
Okay.
Is it too technical? I will simplify it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So, and stress, it actually disappears after the stressful situation is over.
Okay.
And whenever we are stressed, we are always aware what we are stressed about. That's a very basic information about stress that I would like to put it out,
Mm-hmm.
right? And people who experience stress, so there can be physical symptoms, there can be mental symptoms as well. That could be such as anger, irritability, digestive issues, trouble in sleeping, etc.
Okay.
So these are the basic symptoms for stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then comes another term, which is anxiety. So anxiety is something that is not always easy to figure out. Okay, so for example, if I am getting stressed that I have an exam that
Mm-hmm.
I need to give tomorrow, Once I'm done with my exam and the examination is over, I will not be stressed anymore because I can see that my physics paper is over.
Right.
But if I have anxiety, so whenever any kind of exams I go through, I will always feel anxious, whether the exam is done or it is about to happen.
Acha, okay.
So anxiety is something,
Mm-hmm.
it is about the worries. We have excessive worrying, we have fears, and it is about something that has not happened in reality,
Okay.
that does not even exist, and we get anxious about just thinking over that thought.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is what about anxiety is.
So stress is basically something like, for example, a very good example of exams. Like if I'm having an exam, let's say I'm scared of maths. Yeah. So I mean, if I have a maths exam tomorrow, I'll be sweating like hell. Okay, before the exam. So that comes under stress, or does it come under anxiety?
That comes under anxiety because you just said that I'm scared, which is fear.
Okay.
So when you have some kind of fear about something which is not again happening in reality, and you have having trouble because you're sweating, so these are again, there are another set of symptoms for anxiety as well. So there is muscle tension, and again difficulty in concentrating, and sweaty palms, or it could be dry throat,
Okay.
and you could just your face could become pale.
Hmm.
So these are the things that when we talk about anxiety.
And so anxiety is something which is long term, or is it also a short term problem?
So it's both.
Mm-hmm.
It could be short term and long term as well. But if it is affecting with our day to day functioning, right? And if we have trouble in every basic things that we do in our lives, for example, I feel anxious about exams, but exams are no more. In the next 1 month, I see I don't have any exams.
Okay.
But still, just the thought of it. For example, I have a test, and it's very similar to exam for me. So just thinking about that, oh my God, next month I'm going to have a test. Because of that, I can feel anxious.
Right.
So it depends if it is affecting in day to day life. For example, for a month, I've only been thinking about it, and it's affecting my friendship life. It's affecting my other subjects as well. I'm not able to perform. I'm not able to eat. So that is the time it could affect in long term.
And what are the early signs, of stress and anxiety that generally can be seen in kids?
Early signs would be sudden change in the behavioral patterns. For example, now we know that children are at home, parents are also at home. And if parents observe and they see that the child previously was very cheerful and used to jump around all the time, but all of a sudden the child has become very quiet, aloof, and not being a part of the family discussions. So that is one of the signs that we need to be careful as parents. They need to be careful that this could be the signs of stress or anxiety.
Okay.
Yeah. Then there are other signs as well, such as eating or sleeping habits. So, there is a possibility that once we don't feel like eating, or we skip our meals, or we are not able to sleep properly. But if these things happen quite often, and we are not able to, we are just skipping meals. We, as in the children, are skipping meals, or they're having nightmares, or they are unable to, or they tend to overeat.
Right.
Or eat less. So in this case, parents need to keep a track of their sleeping or eating habits, and if they see any drastic changes, so that is the time parents need to be careful that this could be one of the signs that child is getting affected through stress or being anxious.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. So then there are other signs as well. A lot of times we have heard this, and we have also seen that I'm eating everything. I'm eating a normal food, right? And I'm not eating anything from out. And I've not been exposed to unhealthy environment. Then also I'm falling sick again and again.
Okay.
My stomach is paining, or I'm having frequent headaches, and my stomach is creating a problem for me. So this is also one of the signs that the child can be stressed or anxious about certain things. That means the child is getting sick more often.
Right. True.
Yeah. And then there is emotional burst out, which means, the child has started throwing a lot of mood swings, frequent mood swings, or there is throwing tantrums or being very physical, physically aggressive, hitting all the time. The child is found hitting. So these are one of the signs that we need to be careful and we need to watch out.
And how relevant are these in kids? I mean, because see, most of the problems that we are discussing, parents might feel that, oh, this kind of problems my child often goes through. So they might ignore these kind of problems. Like, for example, being aggressive. Like, a lot of parents, they feel that, oh, their kid is small, so he's just, being aggressive with the other child in the house, his brother or sister. So they might ignore that. So how relevant is this in the kids?
So what happens is when we need to observe with our own child's behavior. For example, if the child doesn't resort to hitting the younger sibling, but all of a sudden, if you see the behavioral change, and I'm not talking about say 2 days or 3 days, but it's happening for 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So that is the time it's about concern, and we need to take the appropriate measures.
True. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the key, to observe them at least for a week or so.
Yes,
And if
definitely.
this kind of a behavior is being replicated every day, and you see that there's a drastic change in the kind of behavior that they are putting out, and it can be either being aggressive or falling sick again and again, appetite issues, sleeping issues. So yeah, I mean, rightly said that these can be early signs of stress and anxiety. Um, but again, like I asked earlier, there can be a lot of misconceptions in people's mind, and there's a lot of myth also going around stress and anxiety. Why don't you help us burst a few myths?
So starting with the myth, as in, so there is very popular statement, right, about this, about stress, that stress is same from everyone. And if you go and tell your friend, suppose I have a friend who is in ninth standard and I'm in eighth standard. So I go and tell my friend, I've been really stressed about something. Then if we go and tell our parents about it, so parents would be like, it's fine, it's okay. I'm not targeting any parents, but just on my observation I'm saying it. So they would just end up saying, it's okay, just chill out, stress is same for everyone. So I want to say that stress is not same for everyone. There is a higher possibility that one child can have stress about being home all day, and the other child at the same time can feel very happy about it.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. And other example would be, suppose one in the classroom also we have seen that one child is given that sit down over here and you have to complete the work. So that child again, oh my god, I have to sit here and do my work, this is so stressful, I just want to go out, I can't sit here. And for the other child, on the other hand, it could be you have to go out and do some submissions, but that child would prefer to sit in the class at one place.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say here is, for someone sitting at one place would be stressful, whereas for the other person's, roaming around and walking, that situation could be stressful.
True, true. And we have seen this especially in Indian families, typical Indian families where parents sometimes feel that if, this is not happening to the neighbor's kid, then why is it happening to my kid?
Yes.
So they'll feel that, you don't have to worry about it. Why are you feeling this way? Look at him. He's not feeling that way. Look at his marks. He's getting that much. Why aren't you getting it? Look at his child. He plays cricket. Why don't you go out and play cricket? So I guess this is also one of the mentality issue with our families, that they don't consider the uniqueness of each child, and so
You're exactly on point.
yeah. So stress again, I believe, is rightly said that it's unique for everyone. So every parent should actually keep a closer eye as to what exactly is going on in their child's mind and try to figure it out, rather than just putting it in a journal bucket and saying that, oh, it'll be all right, don't worry about it. The other child, the other kids are doing this. Why don't you do that? Try this, try that. So a lot of experimentation needs to be stopped.
Yes, because at the end of the day, stress is not same for everyone.
True.
Yeah. And there was another thing that I could think of, which is, and I've seen a lot by myself. and as well as it is done in school settings, or it is done within the home environment, that when we are at social gatherings, when children have to meet someone, say the extended family members, or they are going out with their friends. So for some people, I've seen that meeting friends or making friends could be difficult.
Yeah,
But for some of us, it could be very easy.
true.
So that's how the comparison starts. That, see, your brother is so that was that your brother can go and talk to him. Why can't you go and talk to him? So well said that stress is not same for everyone, and the conversation that we are using, that also needs to be taken care of.
True. Yeah.
So another thing is that we have heard that stress is always bad for you. Do you agree with this statement? I would like to ask you.
Stress is bad. I guess in few situations, yes.
Okay, in few situations, all right. So stress is not bad to a certain extent, because there is something known as eustress, which helps us to perform better, and it produces positive feelings of excitement or well-being.
Okay.
So, for example, uh, if students did not have exams, right, would they actually be sitting at home and studying?
I don't think so. Nobody would be
Exactly.
studying.
No one. I think 0.1% out of children would be, but 99.99, I can say with confidence that if no exams, we wouldn't be studying.
True.
So, because we know that there are exams, we tend to study. So, that can be a little stressful situations, but again, it helps us to perform better because we have something in life that we have to look forward to.
Yeah.
So, in this case, stress is actually helping us to study and getting us good marks and being little more knowledgeable.
True. Yeah.
So, another thing is that stress is everywhere and you can't do anything about it. Yeah, I agree with today's situation. We feel that a lot of things are stressful and I have nothing to do. What do I do about it? I'm so helpless. So, I would like to say, please don't become overwhelmed by it, right? There are a lot of things that we can do because we know stress is everywhere. So how you can help yourself is by prioritizing our work, by making plans, and by making short goals.
True.
If the long term goals are not achievable, we always make goals. We have heard कि goals बनाने से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, हमने बहुत goals बनाए हैं, नहीं कुछ achieve ही नहीं हो पाता.
Yeah. True.
So I would say stick to the long term goals, but try to make short goals out of it. A 1 day goal, and then once it's achievable, you will feel very good about it, and that's how you will not be overwhelmed by all the stressful situations around you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And lastly is that no symptoms, no stress. A lot of time what happens is, as I mentioned at the start, that if I'm having digestive issues or I'm not able to concentrate, so these are some of the signs that we feel that we are under stress. But if we can't see any physical symptoms of stress, it doesn't mean we don't experience stress, right? So there can be other mental signs, such as I discussed right now, that feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Everything is very very haphazard. We have heard that I can't do anything, I'm not able to concentrate, there is so much to study, there are so many notes, which one should I start with first, I'm just not able to decide, unable to focus. So these are also small signs that we need to take care when we are looking out for stressful situations.
Yeah, true. I mean, there are so many times when you don't actually feel these kind of symptoms. You may not observe them or feel these symptoms, but you would still go under stress. And so it's important that people understand that these kind of myths which are going around, especially if you don't have symptoms, then you don't have stress, and stress is always bad. I mean, yes, in few cases it is,
Yeah.
but then again, if you don't like you gave an example of exams, like it's important that sometimes you feel that required attention to a particular task.
True.
So it's advisable for people to whenever you are under pressure, I would say that's more of a pressured situation rather than stress. So don't lean towards stress, but rather understand what is the importance of that particular problem in hand and try to solve it in a more productive manner. I guess that's a better way to approach these kind of things.
Absolutely.
What about anxiety? What are a few myths that are going on around anxiety?
So, for example, if again, say my younger sibling is getting anxious
Mm-hmm.
because that younger sibling would be like, oh, I have to meet my girlfriend. I'm getting very anxious. What do I do about it?
Yeah.
Right. So the other one would say, just wait, it will pass. Everything will be fine.
Hmm.
This is the most irritating statement that I've ever heard.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Anxiety is something that cannot be passed because it again works on emotions. So this is one of the myths. Then secondly is, anxiety is very trendy because this is like a new term, new word. So people think, oh, you're getting anxious, this is your way of getting attention. But that's not it. Someone with anxiety may have physical symptoms like, breathing and stomach and muscle tensions. But we need to understand anxiety is something that works more on the thought processes.
Right.
Yeah. So for people who are anxious, like I just give the example right now that I have to, for a child, that person has to go and meet his girlfriend.
Hmm.
Okay, so the person can feel anxious about it 5 days before. I don't know if it has happened with you before, any time that you had to meet someone whom you love or attractions or like. And if it doesn't happen in the right way, we start getting irritated about it. And there is some form of excessive worry in our head, which is there inside, and it leads to making a lot of negative thoughts, which leads to overthinking.
Yeah, true.
So this was one of the thing about anxiety, and very important. I think a lot of us can relate with this. That social anxiety is the same as being shy. So shy is, when we are feeling shy, or we
Hmm.
are shy as people, or we have a personality such. It's just that we are feeling slightly uncomfortable in social situations.
Mm-hmm.
But people with social anxiety, they are preoccupied with fear. That means they just have a fear in their thought that they will embarrass themselves, or whenever they go to a social situation. So that's how they avoid going to the social situations, because they experience extreme anxiety or certain kind of panic within their thought patterns.
Yeah, a lot of people, they feel that if somebody is not being social, then they just tag them as a introvert or someone who is like very shy.
Yeah.
But it may not be the case. Yeah, that's actually a big myth. A lot of people, they think that way, that people who don't go out, don't go to parties, or don't socialize with a lot of people, they feel that they are just shy or introvert. But there's a big problem inside that.
Yeah, it could be social anxiety as well.
True, true.
So yes. And lastly, I would like to say this statement loud. All I need is a little cocktail or some pot to get through this.
Hmm.
So what happens is, whenever we are anxious, we are just like, if I get a chance to have a little bit of drink, any cocktail or mocktail, I'll be fine with that. But what happens is, and I'm not denying that it actually makes one person feel less anxious, but only for a temporary point of time.
Yeah.
But in return, it actually increases the risk of lung disease, heart attack, or again, you could become addicted to alcohol or unhealthy behaviors, basically.
True, true. I mean, yeah, these are just things that you just try to hide yourself behind,
Yes.
and these are very short term, thought of solutions. These are not the solutions. So I mean, of course, people who consume alcohol to some extent is fine, but then once you start over abusing it just for the sake of putting it out that, okay, I'm feeling anxious, so I'll have some drink, or I'm feeling anxious, I'll smoke a pot. So that is something which actually in turn will make you addicted to that substance, and later on, you'll be in a situation where if you don't get that substance, then you will be stressed out, and you might feel anxious.
Yes, very true. It would be just backfiring you again.
True, true, true.
Yeah.
So, coming to the point of kids, what sort of situations lead to stress and anxiety in them?
I would like to say that if we are talking about, say, kids, there could be peer pressure,
Mm-hmm.
right? That is the situation when they feel really stressful, and there is something that they don't wish to do,
Right.
but because my peers are forcing me and they want to become cool, or they want to become that, I want to look cool and I want to be recognized by my peers at a school level or at tuitions,
Uh-huh.
or doing something which they don't actually agree with their own conscience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's again can be a stressful situation for the child, but it becomes very difficult for them to come up and talk about it, because for them their problem is actually the biggest problem.
True.
But
Yeah.
if they go and confront about it, that I need this gadget, or I have to use certain things, I need to be on social media platform because my friends are making fun that you being so cool and you being like this, and you're not there on social media. So just to prove to our friends, we have to be in a certain way. But again, in this kind of situations, parent might not understand, but it's again a very big problem for children because it makes them really stressful.
True. True.
Yeah. And then there are other things, relationships,
Mm-hmm.
because what I've observed out of my personal experience also in earlier times, I would say 5 years down the line, it was in 10th grade or in 11th grade that the students used to come into relationships.
Yeah.
But now it's sixth or seventh standards. Trust me, by the time they're in fourth, fifth, and sixth, they understand what is attraction. They understand the bodily changes, what girls and boys go through, and by seventh, they start forming into one.
True. Yeah. I mean, and also, I believe, when it comes to relationships, it's also the friend circle, which gets involved in a lot of stress and anxiety related issues. When you have problems, like you have relationship problems within the friend circle, I guess that also creates a lot of stress and anxious moments in a child.
Yes, because again, friendship is at a toss, and that point of time, they think that friends are the best, siblings or best friends, and they can go out to any extent for their friendships.
True. True.
So that can also cause stress.
Mm-hmm.
Then there is something known as body shaming,
Mm-hmm.
right? Body shaming, it usually starts at the age of 12 or 13,
Right. Right.
when the bodily changes starts taking place. For boys it's different, for girls it's different.
Right.
Girls, it could be say acne, and for males as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could be the growth of private parts, etc. So at this time what happens is, because they're surrounded by their friends, their best friends also can start making fun of them.
True. True. True.
If they're not very comfortable with their own body type or with their own body shape,
Yeah.
or in case they're comfortable but the people around them make sure that they become uncomfortable,
Yeah.
so
True.
at the end result, they are just not happy with how they are.
Yeah, I mean, and especially, body shaming. There was one celebrity who also came out a couple of days back. I'm not remembering her name, but she also spoke on social media about, a lot of people, they started calling her hot when she was in school. And and that, stayed in her mind for a long time when, because of her body features, she was called in a certain way. So I believe, body shaming something when people do it at that moment, it looks cool or it looks funny. But for someone who's going through that emotions, who is going through that problem, if you call them, call them fat, or you call them skinny, or you call them in a certain way, in which
Yeah,
they
you
look,
start labeling them.
yeah, it stays with them. It stays somewhere in the back of their mind, in their subconscious. It stays for them, with them for a long time. And this may also lead to mental illness.
Definitely. I have a example with this.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember one of my friend came to me and told me that before, I think it's been 10 to 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
that in her school time she used to address people as moti.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very, I think, cute word. A lot of us end up saying that. but we don't realize the repercussions for it. So she started addressing her very close friend as Moti, and you won't believe what happened when she started working. So after 10, 12 years, she got a mail from her friend that today I have the courage to tell you the way you used to address me as Moti, it's still there in my head, and I am not able to live with this. So imagine just one word, how to what level it can affect a person's well-being.
True, true. I mean, this happens with a lot of people, like you said about peer pressure and the friend circle. We sometimes don't realize that we are actually creating this dent in someone's mind about their own body. And it's something that people go through every day, and they don't realize it, whether it's in school or at home. And then after a few years, you feel this kind of a thing coming out, and people then just lash out, on social media or in the groups or individually. So I guess, yes, body shaming needs to stop at some point, because you need to also understand that the kind of energy that you put out is very negative.
Exactly. And it's going to come back to us later in any form.
True, true.
Yeah.
Bhumika, why don't you give a few tips to parents, to resolve these kind of issues at home, especially like a do's and don'ts that they can do in order to manage stress and anxiety, positively with their kids?
So I would like to, because pandemic is the current situation that's going on right now, and it's
Yeah.
actually affecting a lot of parents and children out there. So first thing is, as I spoke earlier about the early signs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be in line with that. Now, firstly, there are a lot of children who get anxious when they're reading the news. You know what's going down? Oh my God, so many deaths. Is my friend okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they have lot of thoughts inside their head, and they
Yeah.
get anxious about it when they're reading all such kind of news. So we need to make sure, as in the parents need to make sure, and that they are giving the true information.
Yeah.
They need to tell their own children, what's happening in the real world, and do not try to mask any information, because the more we try to mask, the more we try to hide, the more we try not to tell the truth, it might lead to more anxiety within them.
Yeah, that is true.
And we can do this by showing a positive side of the whole situation. This whole pandemic, there was less of traffic, there were a lot of
Yeah.
positive things also that came out. Families spending more time together, okay, then the wildlife sanctuaries at a better place, etc. So there were a lot of things, so parents can talk about the news, the current scenario that's happening, and bring out the positive side out of it.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. Then secondly, we need to make sure that parents need to actually make sure that they allow their children to stay connected with their friends, their extended families,
Mm-hmm.
and do not restrict or lay any kind of rules, and make sure that the communication is happening at the right point of time. Because the more we try to stop, and the more we try to make rules for our children, that do not talk to your friends, do not do this, do not do that, again it will lead to more of anxiety within the child.
Yeah. True. True.
Yeah. Because we need to understand, when they were in school for 8 hours, they go to school and they come back and they go for tuitions. So imagine the amount of time the children spend with their friends.
Yeah.
And when they're back home, and we just tell them that more than 15 minutes you can't talk. So parents need to be sure that do not put such kind of restrictions for their children.
True. True.
Then there is something known as academic freedom,
Mm-hmm.
which means do not pressurize your child academically.
Right.
I would say, I'm not saying that you should not look what your child is doing, what the child is studying. No, because children needs to be monitored, right?
Yeah.
So you monitor their academic progress, but at the same time, give them a free hand, and allow them to engage in activities that actually is a interest factor of them.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
They can do more of practical stuff at home. It is in science is taught what is condensation or gardening, or the scientific concepts. It could be very well done at home as well.
No, that is well said, because I have a friend who has a daughter, young daughter, and the one good thing that he's doing currently at home is that all his his daughter's assignments. So basically, the schools are now running through their online medium.
Yeah.
So they give a lot of homework, right? So these kind of homeworks, what he does is he um, uh, you know. Converts them into small assignments, which are like very practical. So they'll make some sort of a game out of it, or they'll create some activity that they can do together in order to complete that homework that was given. So I guess that's a very good way of engaging your kids in activities that won't bore them, and at the end of the day will make sure that the homework is also done.
Yeah. So the learning is also fun.
Yeah,
And
true.
children will not have any problem studying at home.
True. And those theoretical work that they were doing, right, it gets converted into a more practical and fun learning experience. So I believe, these kind of activities, if more and more parents can adopt, of course, it takes a bit of effort from your end also, because you'll have to leave your work and then engage with your kids. But I guess this is right for them as well as for you to, get out of that monotonous life and do something which is new and refreshing.
Yeah, because the parents and children, they have to make a combined effort.
Yeah, true.
Then there's another thing, me time for children.
Hmm.
I would say here, parents should give their regular do's and don'ts, but we need to make sure that they give it with little flexibility
Yeah.
and let the children learn and experience by taking their own time.
True, true.
As you also explained with one of the example that your friend is doing currently. So I guess that's the best way, because the child is also given the freedom,
Yeah.
the child is also given the experience,
Hmm.
and the child has a free thought process.
True. Yeah.
So the child is making mistakes and learning at the same time. And we also need to make sure that parents, if they are making mistakes, if children are making mistakes, parents shouldn't shout at them.
Yeah. True.
Otherwise what's going to happen, when they make mistakes, the parents are shouting, they will not be taking any kind of risk, or they won't be experimenting, they wouldn't think out of their box.
True. True. Yeah.
So that's also something that is very very important that parents need to take care of. And other things would be, encourage your child to talk more about their emotions and feelings.
Hmm.
That's one of the thing. If we see that, you can see a sudden change in their behavior, as we mentioned in the early signs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if we see that there are emotional outbursts, or throwing tantrums, so the parent can always go and encourage the child that, what's wrong, talk to us, we please consider us as your friend, and it's going to be very very private, it's just between going to be you and me, you can talk to me about anything. So all the time children might not be in a position to just go and open up what their feelings are. Parents from their end will have to put a little extra effort in order to make sure that the child comes and open up their feelings.
True. True. It's really important, because if you become like a Hitler and you're always on top of your child, that okay, tell me what's wrong, what's wrong, what's wrong. Your child is going to suppress all these feelings and all these problems inside,
Yes.
and for a long time that child would feel some sort of a problem, and they will always be conscious about what to say and what not to say. So, it's always good, like you said, to reach out to your children in a friendly manner, and also give them space, so that you don't, get on top of their head and keep asking for the explanations, or ask them to, reveal whatever it is. Give them time, ask them, and be more friendly, because at the end of the day, you both are locked in the same house for 24 hours. So you need to make sure that the communication is more friendly rather than, a parent and a child conversation.
True. And there's one more thing that, if parents feel that they have overreacted with their child,
Mm-hmm.
or they were shouting at their child for no reason,
Mm-hmm.
there is no harm of going and, feeling sorry about it. They can always go and apologize to their child that I'm sorry for what I did, the way I reacted, and I will make sure that I will not do it next time.
Yeah, yeah.
And this in this kind of situations parents take it for granted, अच्छा मेरा ही बच्चा है ना, समझ जाएगा,
Mm-hmm.
समझ जाएगा, पर आप जब तक नहीं समझाओगे हो सकता है वो नहीं समझे.
True, true.
So I guess communication is the key for all the happy outcomes.
Yeah, that is rightly said. Unless you communicate in the right way with your child, the child will never be able to open up freely. And at the end of the day, that's the whole exercise all about. You want the child to be free. You want the child to be emotionally open to you, so that you can always, catch these early signs of stress and anxiety in your child and help them in whatever way you can. But I believe, Bhumika, that this time, this lockdown period and this unlock, we are already in the fourth month of this whole situation.
Yeah.
Parents must be, themselves going through a lot of issues with this whole work from home situation happening.
Yeah.
So, what is something that parents can do, especially when they're working from home?
So I have very specific suggestion over here
Mm-hmm.
that they can actually inculcate in their day-to-day activities or life,
Mm-hmm.
which is when parents are around, children will have a natural way of expecting some kind of attention.
Right.
For children, they used to go to school, they used to come back, mother or father, whoever, would
Mm-hmm.
be very happy and would greet them very nicely. How was your day? Did you have your tiffin? And talking to them, asking about them, how their day was.
Yeah.
And then father or mother coming home by the end of the day, asking everything, did you do your homework? So we used to keep our check time on time to time.
True. True.
But during lockdown, if the child is there 24/7 with me or within the same surrounding, it doesn't mean you will not ask the child, or you will not pay attention, or you will reduce the amount of paying attention you used to do before.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, please give attention to your child. That's what they need. That's what they want, and nothing else beyond that. And obviously, in a positive way. And also, because children, they don't understand what conferences are. They don't understand that I have video calls going on. I have a meeting online. They don't understand all of this.
Yeah.
So for them, it's how it was before. They think, अच्छा मेरे पापा फोन पे लगता है फ्रेंड से बात कर रहे होंगे, मेरी मम्मा
Mm-hmm.
फोन पे अच्छा हो सकता है बहुत टाइम से बात नहीं उनकी बात कर रहे होंगे.
True.
So that's what it is for them. So we need to make them understand what it is. And if in the middle of a video call or a conference or a meeting, if child is approaching you, you can always just say hi, mute for a second, just ask them how are you and smile.
Yeah. True.
Trust me, child will not disturb you for more than a minute.
It's actually important that, especially if you have a young child at home, they don't understand what a video conference is. So of course, if you're working at home and you have a few video calls happening or some sort of a work which is happening with your team, one way to do is that make sure that your room is locked. And you can always lock your room, or if you have a study, make sure that you lock your study. And even though, let's say, your child walks in, it's always good to, just smile. Yeah. And I believe that everyone on the video call would understand, because everyone themselves are at home. So even if you want, you can always ask your kid to say hi to everyone on the video call, and introduce.
That's actually fun.
Yeah, introduce your child to everyone on the video call. Say hi, he's my child, blah blah blah, and just have a good laugh about it. And then your child will also be happy. He'll understand that, okay, dad was doing something, and okay, fine. He introduced me to his friends, and now I'll go out and let him do his work. So
Yes,
it's
very
it's more about being positive. And the other scenario is, if the child walks in and you just look at him in a very angry manner, and you shout out that go out, don't how did you enter the room, and all those things, this might give a very negative impact on the
very
child's mind, because he doesn't understand what happened, because he
yes,
just he just
yes.
walked in the room and you shouted at him for no reason, right? To him, it was for no reason. So
Yeah.
it's important that the kind of behavior that you put out at home will also stay with the child for a long time. So they are basically mimicking you, right? A child mimics a parent.
Well said.
So at the end of the day, if you behave in a certain manner, your child is going to replicate that in his own behavior.
Yeah. And it's going to happen because that's very natural. Whatever you do, your child is learns the most by observing.
True, true. That is
So
true.
yes.
So, when we talk about kids, are there any difference in stress level among kids and as compared to teenagers?
So when we talk about the levels of stress, it's again, as I spoke about myth that stress is not same for everyone.
Yeah.
So in this scenario also, there is a higher possibility that for a kid, if you're talking about a kid,
Mm-hmm.
it can be say 4 to 11 or 12, and then 12 to 19, so it would be teens. So there is possibility that kid is facing higher levels of stress as compared to a teen,
Okay. Interesting.
depending
Mm-hmm.
on what kind of situation it is. And it is very much possible that teens are going through lower levels of stress as compared to the kids.
Okay.
So there is no defined statement that kids suffer higher level of stress and teens don't, or vice versa. It actually depends how children take in and how well are they able to cope up with that.
True. True. Yeah.
And the situation for kids that I've not discussed before is due to what situations could kids could face, be stressed or be
Hmm.
anxious about,
Mm-hmm.
which is arrival of a new sibling.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have observed. I have seen that whenever we have the other sibling, the attention or the time or the effort that we used to give on the first one, we don't do it, consciously. It happens at a very unconscious level.
Yeah. Yeah.
So because of that, the elder one might start feeling, अच्छा मम्मी पापा मुझे ध्यान ही नहीं दे रहे हैं, मेरे पे attention ही नहीं pay कर रहे हैं. They are not buying me the toys. They are not making me eat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that could be stressful for a very young child, and that child even doesn't know what's going in his or her head.
True. True. Because he was the only child in the house earlier, and he was getting all
Yeah.
the attention, and suddenly now a new child comes into place, and the whole attention of the family is now divided. So it's really difficult for him to understand what's exactly is happening. So what he feels is that the new sibling is actually like a rival to him, and he needs to, then he starts doing things which
To gain attention
get
in a negative.
attention. Yeah, yeah. True, true.
Hmm. So that's one of the thing, and I think there is one point that agrees at that's similar at both the levels to kids and teens as well. So for kids, it's not very much of social media; it's more of a video game.
Yeah, true.
And I have also observed that very young ones, they don't eat without any kind of videos, or they do
Yeah.
not eat when a mobile or a laptop or a tab or an
Hmm.
iPad is not even in front of them.
True, true.
So that is something I would love to tell parents, because it's not that you're doing anything wrong currently, but you will definitely see the behavioral changes very soon in your child. We know that parents do not have any, they are not doing with a wrong intention, and they don't even wish to, but we are so not aware, and later it will definitely come back to us. So
That is
be
true.
very careful for parents. Do not give your child, because in earlier times also it wasn't such that कि बच्चे को टीवी के सामने ही खाना खिलाना है. You can just
Hmm.
play with the child. You just need to keep the child entertained.
Right, right.
So do not give gadgets at a very early age to the children.
True, true.
Yeah. So there is another thing for teens. It's social media.
Mm-hmm.
Because of social media, also stress levels have become really high these days.
Yeah.
Because there's something known as real life and real life. In case the child is not happy from inside,
True,
there is
true.
a high possibility that the child might just click a selfie and have a very smiley and happy face just to show to the world.
True. And that's more of like a FOMO syndrome that a lot of teenagers are going
Yes,
through.
yes, very true. So that actually releases next level of stress hormones.
True, true, true. So now coming to a very important section of our discussion, which is on exams and the pressure, the kind of situation that we are in. A lot of parents and children, they are actually confused, and they don't understand what's going to happen because schools are shut down. There's no circular on when they are going to reopen. In fact, yesterday only, or I believe today morning, CBSE had announced that a lot of the syllabus has been cut down for exams. Up to 30% of syllabus has been cut down. I guess it was a couple of days back that they announced. So parents and students have this sort of a pressure in their mind when it comes to the exams not happening, and what about the future of their child. So why don't you give a few tips for students to stay calm during these testing times?
Okay. So we know that obviously these are very difficult times,
Mm-hmm.
and there are actually two ways to look for it. I'm not saying that children or the child or the parent has to be all the time very positive and look
Yeah,
for a positive situation. That's not going to happen. We are humans after all. And it's completely fine to feel negative. It's completely fine to feel uncertain. And it's completely fine and then it's completely okay to be anxious about what's happening.
true,
But
true.
first step is that we are addressing that, okay, I am anxious, I am getting scared, and accept it however you are feeling. So because once you accept those kind of thoughts and emotions and feelings, it's going to be easier for a person, for the child or the parent to cope up what's coming next.
True.
Now, yeah, so coping up would be so that there's a lot of, a lot of tips around it. Very important ones I would like to mention is setting up goals.
Yeah.
And lot of or our audience might think कि ये तो बहुत सुने हुए, ये तो हर कोई बोलता है.
Hmm.
These are the tips because whatever you search, everything is available online, but I'm going to tell you in detail how you actually go about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we talk about setting up goals, it's just not that we write the goals and we think that we need to achieve
Hmm.
this.
Hmm.
No, we need to write the goal, we need to write it very clearly, and we need to paste it somewhere where it's visible from our eyes. Then when we are talking about goals, we need to, if we have written for example 5 goals,
Hmm.
so we for all the 5 goals there has to be a plan of action
Right.
for each 5 of them. Okay, and then we need to visualize that we have achieved those goals and celebrate them.
True.
So once we do that, again it releases some kind of hormones because we feel happy about it कि अच्छा हमारे goals achieve हो गए. And again it's all in our head currently.
True. Yeah.
So visualizing plays a very important role and then celebrating about it.
True. True.
So that's one way of setting up goals. Then set a routine. Okay, so setting up a routine wouldn't mean that you are just setting routine for your studies. I want you to set routine for recreational time, for your family time, for yourself, and for studies as well, which is again important, and any other extracurricular activities that you wish to do.
True.
So even you will feel good about yourself that it's not only studies that I'm sticking to, I'm also getting a chance to speak to my friend. So you can write in that routine. So when we are visually looking at my routine, it will not look boring to us. On the other hand, पता चला सिर्फ 2 hours पढ़ाई के लिए दिए and the other remaining 7 to 8 hours for everything. So
No,
the child will be actually
true.
motivated. It's going to be more reverse. Child will be motivated to follow that 2 hours of studying.
True, true. I remember when we were kids, our dad used to ask us to make a routine, right? So we used to make a routine for the whole day. So he would ask us that right from waking up till going to sleep, make a routine and follow that for a week, and then you'll get a reward. Okay. So we used to so this situation that you said, right, exactly, that's what we did. We what we did was we made like a 2 or 3 hour planner for work, so for studies, and for rest of those 8-10 hours were all about, either we are sleeping, either we are eating, we are going out and playing, we are doing something or the other. So, but I guess this is a very good practice of creating a routine, because if you can teach this to your child early on, then somewhere or the other, even though the child may not follow that routine to 100% in the early days, but somewhere or the other in his mind, he will have this understanding that, why setting up a routine is important. And sooner or later, he would definitely follow that and, get his, especially like his time management in place.
Yeah. But coming back to you, So how did your dad react after seeing your routine where it included only 2 to 3 hours of studying?
Oh God. So first time when he saw that routine, he was like, What is this? Where's the study time in this?" Yeah. So I gave you 24 hours. Out of 24 hours, you're gonna study two hours. So this especially used to happen during our summer vacations.
Oh,
So so he was like, out of 24 hours, you're just spending 2 hours studying. Okay, add some more, add some more. So we used to. He used to make us, revise the whole planner again and again until there's a substantial amount of, studies and homeworks and whatever. I mean, as long as it's somewhere in the range of 4 to 5 hours.
hmm.
So that is what he used to do. But most of the times he used to let it go also, because he was like, okay, at least they have put in studies inside the whole planner.
Yeah.
Otherwise, for the whole 24 hours, we would have been just playing around and doing something or the other.
So that's what we need to make sure. Whatever routine we're setting up, it has to be flexible enough so that we can actually
Yeah,
follow
yeah,
it end of the day.
true, true. That is why he also he had reward also, right, for the end of the week. So if we would follow the planner to the T, he would reward us with something. It can be like a new video game cassette, or maybe a treat, like a ice cream or something like that. So that kept us really motivated to follow the routine.
You just stole my lines. That's what I was about to say next. That you need to reward yourself because you'll feel very motivated. And yeah, video games. So now it could be, children are allowed to use 2 hours, not 2 hours, I would say 45 minutes on Instagram or use Snapchat or whatever with social media.
Hmm.
So that's one of the thing. Or talk to your friend, or if they like to cook, etc. So they can just reward themselves whatever they like with. And you're, yeah, definitely what you said, motivated enough, and you feel very, good about yourself. It's like a feeling good factor. That
Yeah, it's an accomplishment, right?
yes, a sense of great accomplishment. So it's very small but very big accomplishment for the child.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we need to make sure, the parents need to make sure that the child sleeps well. ओके वी
Mm-hmm.
फील कि एग्जाम्स आ रहे हैं या फिर अभी ऐसा टाइम है अभी इन बिटवीन व्हाट हैपेंड वाज इट वाज सेड दैट बोर्ड एग्जाम्स आर गोइंग टू हैपन so all of a sudden there was some kind of chaos and children were getting really worried. They haven't studied for 1 month now. All of a sudden, how are they going to stick to the timetable? So they were pressurized, study full night, try to study early in the morning. But no, I would like to say that's not a very healthy way of doing it. The better you sleep, you're actually giving your mind to relax. And the mind in there, when we are sleeping, the mind is very much awake. The mind is conscious.
Yeah.
So till the time mind doesn't get proper time to rest, we will not be able to give up, output nicely.
True,
Sleeping
true.
well.
And
Hmm.
this is one of the issue that I've seen with kids during these days, especially during the exam times. What they would do is the last night they would study for the whole night. They won't sleep.
Yeah.
And I guess this is wrong. And as parents also, we should make sure that the child is sleeping early, especially before the night of the exam.
Yes.
Because whatever you wanted to study, you would have studied the whole year, and the last few days are just to revise and just to take that sort of a unnecessary pressure on yourself to study that last night for 18 hours. I've seen students like literally studying for 18-20 hours a day before the exam, which is
Yeah.
really really not at all healthy.
Not at all healthy. It again gives us stresses, and then we feel our stomach is not doing well, headaches, and we are not able to perform well. And I have seen that in case if they know the whole matter and they remember all of the information, but people, the students do, they just blank out when they're appearing in the
Yeah.
exams. So that's
Yeah, yeah. I've seen kids puking, yeah, before the exam. I've seen them puking outside the exam center. They are so
yes,
nervous, they are so under pressure because they didn't get a good rest the night before.
yes.
And they were so much in stress, they were so much worried about the exam that I'm seeing people like students literally falling and puking before the
That's a
exam. So,
different
yeah.
topic altogether. Obviously it overlaps little over here, but there's something known as exam fear.
Hmm.
So I think we'll have to have another podcast for talking about exam fear.
No, no, we'll definitely do that. We need another podcast specifically for exam pressure, and especially now since these exams are getting postponed again and again, I guess students actually need to hear that, especially their parents.
Yes.
What about parents, like to be parents, like people who are expecting kids? What sort of anxiety and pressure are they, stress are they going through?
So, firstly, I would like to say that they need to feel that they're having a wonderful body within themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are giving birth at such uncertain times, and they should be very proud of themselves.
Yeah,
Instead, it's happening the other way around. We are stressing more about it, how it's going to happen, because what happens is when we are fearful, you know, we focus our mind on something negative or something scary, because of which we get more anxious.
true. Yeah,
So in this case, what we need to do is we need to shift that focus by being more aware of our anxiety, which means whenever in these kind of situations, there is natural tendency that we are very much attracted to the negative thoughts
mm-hmm.
in our head. Okay, so we need to make sure whenever we are anxious, we should be aware of what thoughts we are getting anxious about. So actually
Right.
that can help us, that will help us in longer run to deal with it in a positive way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one thing is that sometimes we are so stressed about being very stressed.
Yeah, that is also true.
That's very true. And it so in this scenario, what happens is it is more harmful for the mother as compared to the baby.
Hmm.
So that's one of the stresses, that's one of the thoughts that the parent might go through. And another thing is that high stress during pregnancy time, it can lead to premature birth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then poorer immune function, depression, and there could be heart related diseases and
Okay.
slower cognitive development, which
Mm-hmm.
means slower cognitive development for the child. That means the learning patterns, the thought patterns, and the functioning of the brain, once the
Mm-hmm.
child is there, that could be affected
Okay. Hmm.
if the mother faces high amount of anxiety during pregnancy. But I would say
Okay.
it's completely fine to have feelings of frustration and isolation, because this is the time when we need people around us, we need our
Yeah.
family. But
Hmm.
because due to social distancing or lockdown or being quarantined, I would like to say definitely it is social distancing but not isolation, right?
Yeah.
So there are other positive ways how others can be, the mothers, the father, parents as a team together can be connected with each other, with the family members. Yeah.
True, true. And so how do you resolve this? Can you share a few tips with us in order to resolve these kind of problems of stress and anxiety, especially for parents who are expecting kids?
Yeah. So first thing is, I would like to say, but pay attention to your own needs. I'm not trying to be selfish here. I'm not telling the parents that just think about yourself. But as compared to the father, the whole situation can be more stressful for the mother,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the mother can always share the responsibility with their partner, and the mother can just relax for a while, just put the headphones on, just call up your friend, have a tea, have a good warm bath, and just feel good. Just so whatever the mother feels like doing.
Yeah. True.
And yeah, so that could actually be less stressful, and the mother will feel happy about it. And again, the mother can get back to what the mother was doing previously.
True.
Yeah. And we can also make sure as parents that they can connect with their friends, with their family, with their acquaintance, whoever, through social media.
Yeah.
Because what happens is when their set of friends who are also, about to become parents, when they share their own set of problems with others, the other people might also be sharing some sort of problems with them.
True. Yeah.
So what happens in this kind of situation is you actually get an insight for your own issues that you are facing. So the more you talk about it, we never know, just by talking about it we are getting the solutions right away, because we'll feel, I'm not the only one who is going through with this. There are a lot of people out there, and when talking about it you will feel good, and you will definitely find solutions to your issues that one is facing.
That is true. Yeah.
So yeah. And then we can definitely, the parents can exercise within their houses, they can do the breathing exercises, then they can enroll in virtual parental exercise. Now we know that everything is online, right? It's going to be a smart decision to accept whatever it is, instead of thinking, I wish this couldn't have happened, मुझे exercise करने का मौका मिलता, I had such kind of plans when I was, I was expecting a baby. But the more we think about it, again, as I mentioned before, we will feel more stressful and anxious.
True,
So
true.
the better it is, we accept the reality, move on, and look for the new ways that's coming in, because that's actually the new normal.
That is true. Yeah, I mean, there are so many apps and communities which are actually, working together virtually, especially for paternal exercises or yoga classes. So a lot of things you can do. There are always alternatives to your current situation and problems. So rightly said, instead of just hoping that things could have been a different fashion, it's always good that do better with what you have right now and try to find alternatives through this. And being positive also, I believe, is more important,
Yes.
in order to calm yourself down.
Yes, very true. The more we focus on the positive and think about the things that's going to make you calm, it will make you feel good. And other thing is that try all the soothing tricks,
Mm-hmm.
which means whatever is needed for the child, the baby oils, aroma, the which gives actually good vibes,
Yeah, yeah,
and warming up and putting the child in, swaddling the child, etc. So that can, and you're actually being focused in the present,
true.
you're actually thinking what needs to be done now. So that will help you not to think about it, and at the same time we are not suppressing our thoughts, because we are making alternative plans to work on it.
True, true. That is true.
And as you mentioned that, with so much of uh, everything virtual happening online, so there are a lot of groups parents can get connected to, and they can discuss their issues.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to do it.
That's the best way, because that's how you will feel calmer, and you will feel that we need to move on however the situation is, but being positive about it.
Right, right. And of course, with all being said about helping each other, helping your kids, and trying to resolve these kind of issues at home,
Hmm.
when it comes to stress or anxiety. But I believe that counseling plays an important role when it comes to seeking professional help in these scenarios. So who is it for when it comes to counseling? Who needs counseling?
So firstly, I would like to say it's not necessary that counseling is only meant for people who are mentally ill,
Mm-hmm.
because it's hard. अच्छा ये पागल है तभी काउंसलर के पास जा रहा होगा.
Hmm.
So that's not very true. We shouldn't agree to this. Coming back to, what, when should we go for counseling, or when do we think it's the time for therapy? So if we feel, if children feel, or parents feel about their children that they're not enjoying the things that they used to enjoy before.
Right.
For
Hmm.
example, you're not liking what the child used to do before. So that is the time, that those are the signs when we feel, that's like one of the signs when the parent can think about, acha, this is the time when we can actually take our child for counseling or for therapy.
Right. Right.
If the child used to play badminton,
Hmm.
the child used to love to play badminton, or used to play say basketball, or used to go for skating, but it's just, again I'm saying, it's not for a day that the child denied, favorite activity or favorite point, point of entertainment that the child had, and for continuously the child is denying for a week or so, or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So that's the time the parents can think that the child might need therapy. Secondly, it's not for the younger lords, but for the elder ones, I would say, if there is an increased use of substances. Again, I would like to talk about alcohol, because at a very early age, students have started, or the young adults have started trying alcohol, that there is, no harm in trying, let's try it out. I would say 15, 16, or 17. And if we see that the child is, there is an increased amount of substances in any form, alcohol, smoking, etc., so that's the time that child might needs to go out to therapy. And thirdly, it would be unhealthy behavior on social media, which is, I'm very sure the parents, it would be difficult for the parents to keep a track of it, as to what kind of stuff they are following, or what are they watching online. But we are always connected through our friends.
True. Yeah.
So in this case, if the if we see that the child is uploading very not a very appropriate stuff online, or sending messages online, that he needs or she needs to seek help. So that's the time, through these signals, we need to understand that therapy might be needed. Also, which I discussed before, getting sick when doctors say they are fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this is something that I've actually seen in the younger lots, when they don't wish to go to school. I have stomach ache, and when they have any sort of test or anything going on in school, or they feel that they're being bullied, a lot of other school, things that happen at school level. So if the child is falling sick again and again, but not as per the doctor, so that is the time, it's not a wise decision to go to the doctor again and again and get the test done. There is no harm, trust me, in just going to the school counselor or a therapist and just asking as to everything is okay or no. Also, there is isolation and helplessness.
Okay.
So the child just prefers not to talk to anyone, sudden change in the behavior, and the child feels that there's nothing good for him or her, having suicidal thoughts, or the child thinks no one loves me, and has lost interest in doing everything, not able to do schoolwork, trying the level, trying her or his level best to do the schoolwork, to be a part of the extracurricular activities going around,
Yeah.
but unable to do it. So I think these are the signs where, or children who would need counseling.
But how do you break this taboo? Because our Indian society is still, fixated in that manner, that they feel that if they take their kid to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, in that case, people might call their kid, that he's mental. And, so how do you break this kind of a society, this social taboo?
So I would like to explain this particular thing with an example. As at the start, I mentioned that I believe that we need to take care of our mental health the way we take care of our physical health.
Right.
So I just want all the audience out there to imagine this. Now, if I am walking on the road, right, and I just fall down, and I see that my knee is hurting, okay, and I have got a lot of blood on my elbow, what is the first thing that I'm going to do? So the first thing would be, I would cry out for help.
True. Yeah.
And definitely the strangers, they would be there to help me, because that's blood that they are seeing. And me as an individual, or strangers for that matter, or people, if they have known people, if I have known people with me, they would help, they would take me to doctor or hospital, and very, the steps are going to be very fast. And if doctor says that you need to get this test done, I would get the required test done.
True. Yeah.
And we are taking these kind of these decisions. Why? Because again, physical health, getting hurt, we are very scared what going to happen. I hope it doesn't leave a mark on my knee. My elbow is right, nothing has happened to my face. So everything can be seen, and we are being very careful about it. But
Right.
coming to
Right.
mental health, it can't be seen. If I'm crying for 3 days continuously, or if I'm feeling very alone, if I'm feeling very aloof, and I feel worthless. So in these kind of situations, I think it's okay. But trust me, it's not okay. If you're having such kind of thoughts, a person, I'm not saying that you can't have and you are not allowed to have such kind of thoughts. It's fine. But with the with the zest we take care of our physical health, I'm trying to make a point here, we need to be very careful of our mental health as well. And it is not something that people are going to judge out there
True, true.
again, because people will again want to talk whatever they wish to talk.
Yeah, that is true.
So we can't always rely on what people are going to say. And there's another thing. So what I've seen is, if people are okay also to go to a therapist, they feel अच्छा वो मेरे बारे में क्या सोचेंगे,
Yeah,
पता नहीं उनको लगेगा मेरी प्रॉब्लम्स कैसी है, these kind of thoughts they might have in their head.
true, true.
So people who are coming to a therapist, they need to understand that whenever therapist is listening to you, firstly, the therapist is listening with no judgment,
Yeah,
because that's again, I would like to say, one of the ethics. And we empathize with each and every kind of sentence that you say it loud. So it's not that we are going to create any kind of judgment in our head and again address the issues that one is facing.
true, true.
So yeah, I think if we consider these ways, people might be little relaxed to. And yeah, I would say still in some areas, more than therapy, I really feel sad about it. People are happy to go to the babas,
Mm,
right? They say like, अच्छा इन बाबा के पास चलते हैं, इनके पास कुछ तंत्र होगा, इनके पास कुछ magic होगा, they'll give something to wear in their hands. I mean, I just don't understand, if you're feeling conscious to go to a therapist, how can you make the judgment of going to someone who doesn't even have a professional degree or being trained in a particular field?
yeah, that's superstition. That is one another big
Yes.
problem in our society, that people feel that if you are going through some sort of a mental issue, then only a Baba or a tantric can actually fix you or help you out. So it's actually really important that we understand what is going on in our minds, and if we don't have an answer to that, we should definitely reach out to our friends and family and then try to connect to a professional.
Yes.
And coming to the point of connecting to a professional, so how do you seek help? How do you reach out to a professional? What is the right way of reaching out to a professional like you?
So, firstly, I would start with, so there is some national emergency number that is being provided, which is 112 for India. And there are another set of organizations that provide confidential support and counseling, which is Asara or Vendra Vela Foundation. So these are the ones, if people have no idea how to go about it. And these are the helplines that's available, the helpline number that I just mentioned above.
Yeah.
And when reach out, they are thinking, मैं क्या बोलूं, what should I say, they'll just call up and they can just keep the phone. So we also don't know, as and I completely understand, if I am also going through some mental health issue and if I feel I don't know what to talk to, I can just call you up and I can just keep the phone, because I would be so scared to even talk about it. So in this kind of scenario, I would say, if you're facing any emotional distress, that's the time you can call up. And the other person who is listening to you, that person, as I mentioned before, will listen to you with utmost empathy, care, and concern.
True, true.
Yeah. And what do we say? That's also again a different scenario altogether. Okay, I call up now, what do I say, how do I talk about it? Never filter your thoughts, just say what you want to say.
True.
That's something that I want to say, because how you put it, that's kind of problem, the problem that you're addressing, you will get the solution in a similar way. The more you filter, the more you think, oh my god, kind of a feeling, the similar kind of response a person would be getting.
True. I mean, you need to be, completely without any filters when you are sitting
Yes.
in front of the counselor, because at the end of the day, you are there to, solve a problem that is going in your mind. So unless and until you open up your mind completely to the professional, he or she may not be able to understand the complete scenario of what is going wrong. So it's always advisable for everyone listening to our show that if you have any near or dear one who is going through some sort of a mental issue, or if you feel that they are stressed out or they are feeling anxious, if you know anyone, please reach out to a professional, or before that, reach out to them and try to understand what they are going through. And
Yes.
through being a good friend and a family is what matters at this point in time, because you guys are the first line of control for them, right? So you have to help them out, you have to be the one listening to their problems. And then it's always advisable to reach out to a professional who can understand your problem in depth and give you advice accordingly. So Bhumika, what's your Instagram ID?
Yeah. Okay. So my Instagram ID is the Desi Therapist, the Desi underscore therapist. That's where whoever wants to reach to a mental health professional, you all can reach out over there, and you can always feel free to DM me, or you can always leave in a mail as well.
True, true. And guys, who you guys can reach out to Bhumika through her Instagram, through her email, as well as her profile will also be available on sociallydesi.com. We would be providing all her details inside our website as well. So feel free to reach out to her in any case you feel that you require any help. You can always reach out to Socially Desi as well if you want to connect with her directly. We would love to help you out. We are here to support you in every way possible. And I would also like to say this before we end the episode, that mental health is something really important for each and every one of us, and it's important that we take care of it during these unprecedented times, because these are the true testing times of our minds. And unless and until we understand what's going on with us, with our family members, with our kids, we will not be able to truly help them succeed in their future. So with that, I would like to thank Bhumika again for coming onto the show and throwing some really hard bombs on the myths, and giving like real good tips and do's and don'ts for the families out there.
Thank you so much, Anurag. It was a pleasure to be a part of your episode and to be a part of Socially Desi and sharing this platform with you.
So that wraps it up for today, folks. If you liked the episode, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go viral. Remember, our weekly podcast features episodes on personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. We would love to have Bhumika on our show again in future to discuss more about mental health and mental fitness. So if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. And as always, before I sign off, remember, life is black and white and everything in between.